Hey everybody, welcome to my channel, Outdoor Candy. I am Nurse Matt, and today we're going to be talking about knots, in specific fishing knots, and particularly this one right here, the FG knot, also known as the fine grip knot, GT, or that word right there, which in all honesty, I can't pronounce. I don't know if it's Sibylle or Sibylle, I'm not sure, but either way, it's known as the FG knot. It's probably one of the best, if not strongest, knots on the market right now. And I know a lot of fishermen out there think it might be kind of a challenge to do this knot. I read some research on it about that. But I also found out a really easy way to do this knot. It works really well for me. I've never had any issues with it. So we're going to go ahead and get into that. Like I said, it is a strong knot, if not the best knot out there, for line-to-line applications. You could use it with, as you notice down here, you could use it with the braid, fluoro, or mono. It is low profile, and in my opinion, it's very easy to tie. So I'm going to show you how I tie it, and then hopefully maybe you can put that in your fishing arsenal, and hopefully it's easy enough for you to tie, and you get out there and you can use it. All right. Growing up, I only used a couple knots actually. Growing up. With my dad when we'd go up to north to like Minnesota and Canada and go muskie fishing and stuff like this. So I believe, actually I called it a muskie knot. I don't even think that's the real word for it, or the real title for that knot. I actually think it's the San Diego jam knot. But as time progressed, as time went on, I learned that there's all sorts of knots out there, particularly specific knots for specific applications. And but the best knot that I know of right now, and like I said, after doing my research, it seems like it's the best knot out there for line to line is the FG knot. The other three knots I'll talk about later in more content that I create down the road, but it's going to be the San Diego jam knot, the Palomar knot I believe is what it's called, and the loop knot. And I love the loop knot. Loop knot's actually really cool too, because it really gives the bait that you're using a real good presentation. Whether it's a topwater jerk bait, a buzz bait, a jig, a deep diver, pollock, crankbait, whatever the case might be, it allows that bait's presentation to be free of knot restriction or that line that you're using. So it allows the bait to kind of move freely in the water column. Really good presentation. For today's content, we are going to talk about the FG knot. And how I learned how to do this, you don't need to use your teeth. So I think some fishermen, some anglers, whether you're seasoned or, just going out there for some fishing therapy, an average angler, I heard some people using their teeth to do this, just like you would with a cast net. However, I like my teeth where they are. I prefer not doing that. And so I found a different method, different technique to do this, and it seems to work pretty darn well. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and take the line that we have here. So what we're going to use for demonstration today is 60-pound braid right here and 60-pound fluorocarbon. And like I said, you can use braid, fluoro, or monofilament. So we're going to use this. I'm going to pull some more out of the reel here. All right, so I'm going to use the 60-pound braid. I'm going to put it in my left hand to start. Whatever hand, dominant, non-dominant. I use my non-dominant hand for the main line, the braid line, okay? And I'm just going to double it over, about 8, 10, 12 inches, somewhere in there. Usually it's 8 to 10, that'll be enough. But just double it over like that, okay? And once it's doubled over in your non-dominant hand, all right, you're going to grab the end of it. So there's the end. All right, and you're just going to wrap it around your pinky like this a couple of times, just so it stays, okay? And that's going to create this loop. Then you're going to take your non-dominant thumb and your non-dominant pointer finger, index finger, and you're going to create a triangle like that. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to grab your fluorocarbon. Okay, and like I said, 60-pound braid, 60-pound fluorocarbon. This is just for demonstration purposes, so this works on any pound test, whatever you want to do. I'm just doing this so you could see it for the purposes of the video, okay? And I'm going to take the fluorocarbon and place it right on top of the top part of that triangle, so right on top like this. And all you're going to do, and there's, I don't know, what, 2.5, 3 inches right there, okay? All you're going to do is once it's on top here, you're going to kind of make a cross and pinch that with your dominant hand, thumb, and first finger, okay? Pinch it like so. And then the first movement you're gonna do is you're just gonna bend it downwards into the middle of that triangle and toward you and come up and around like that. That creates the first wrap. The second wrap, you're gonna do the same thing, but instead of coming towards you, you're gonna go down through the triangle and you're going to come up and away from you, okay? And that creates the first two wraps. So to show you again, a little bit faster, down and toward you, down and up and away from you, okay? There's 4 wraps. Usually with the bigger line, 50, 60, 80, whatever, heavier pound test, 16 to 18 wraps. Lighter pound test, whether 8, 10, 12, 15, 20, 25, whatever you want to use. Maybe you want to go 20 or 30 reps. It's completely a preference thing. I use 16 to 18 for heavier line, and I'll go maybe 20, 25 with lighter line. All right. So from there, you're just going to keep doing that until you get the number of reps you're satisfied with or that you want based on your preferences. Okay. And it's just, you could do this blindfold. It's once you get the rhythm down and the feel for it, it's really simple. That's it. So down and under and over, and then down and up and over. That's it. And you're just going to keep that motion. If you need to manipulate these fingers a little bit on your non-dominant hand to make that work, go for it. Okay? Just so you can keep that motion and that flow going. At a certain point, if you want to, feel free to check to make sure that the wraps aren't overlapping. Okay? And then you can continue to do that motion. Down and over, up and over. Okay? All right, so you got, your 16 to 18. Okay, so that's about good for me right there. Okay? If you're counting, you can count out loud and do what you need to. All right, so at this point in time, you can tell that the wraps are there. They're not overlapping, so we're good. You're going to take your dominant hand, finger, and thumb, pinch that cross section right there, okay? And then release your non-dominant hand, okay? So release the triangle, like so, okay? So now, you have in your dominant hand at the cross, you have your main line, your leader line, and your tag line. So you're going to take your non-dominant hand, all right, and you're going to go ahead and grab the braid main line and your leader line, like so, right at the end, okay? And then just release your dominant hand there. And then you're going to take your dominant hand and take the tag line of the braid, and this is the first half hitch knot you're going to create. You're going to go over the fluorocarbon leader and the mainline braid. And if you want, you're more than welcome to pinch it with those fingers right there. Okay, so it stays and it creates that loop. Okay, and then you're going to take that tag and go underneath and through that loop like so. Okay, and then grab that tag line that went through that loop like this. All right, and let it ride up the main line and the braid, and the fluorocarbon line until it gets to the beginning part of those wraps right there, okay? And then you're gonna wet both that first half hitch and the wraps, okay? And then all you're gonna do is tighten down the half hitch, like so, just enough, okay? From there, you're gonna continue to wet if you need to the wraps, and this part we're going to pull the main braid line and the leader line opposite directions like so, so that these wraps tighten down and bite in to the leader line, okay? And that's what creates the strength and durability of the FG knot. It's not the half hitch knots itself. The half hitch knots just prevent it from unraveling. The strength of this knot are in the wraps itself, grabbing down and clinching around the leader line. So, I was gonna say, to be honest with you, this would be a good point where you could put some gloves on, unless you're already on, to tighten this line down. This prevents you from cutting your hands. This line can cut right into your skin, right into your hands. So I recommend not tightening this with your bare hands, okay, and putting on some gloves. So we're gonna set that line down for a sec. Like so. I'm gonna put on some gloves real quick. All right. These aren't fishing gloves or anything. These are just, standard. You can go to Walmart and pick these up. But and I just prefer wearing gloves when tightening this line down, because there's been plenty of times where I've cut my hands trying to tighten the line, and it is not fun. So safety first. And by the way, none of what I'm using today, whether it's the line, the gloves, anything, nobody is sponsoring this video. It's just an educational video for you guys. So if you like the content, please smash the like button for me and subscribe. I'll be putting more content out. Like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and put out that content with the other 3 really good knots. There's 4 total knots you'll ever need to know for fishing. The one that we're doing today, the FG knot, is line to line. The other 3 are to tie line to a lure. So I'll be covering all that in later videos. But if you like the content, please smash the like button and subscribe. I really appreciate it, and you'd help out the YouTube algorithm and help grow my channel. All right. So now that I got the gloves on, I'm going to go ahead and pick up the leader line and the main line, and this is the tag line. Okay. I'm just going to wrap the braid around one hand, my non-dominant hand. Okay. I'm just going to wrap it around there. If you need to, give yourself a little bit more slack, but I'm just going to wrap it around that one. Okay. And then I'm also going to wrap the fluoro around my dominant hand, my other hand. Okay. So as soon as I get a good grip on everything here, all right, I'm gonna do it like so. Make sure. All right, like so. And what I'm gonna do here, so if I can get this in the video better. Okay. And what I'm gonna do, you can see, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull on both the main line and the leader line. There it is. Pull on the main line and the leader line. So the one dangling right now is the tag line. Okay. So I have my main braid and my leader line, and there's the wraps for the FG part of the knot. Okay. So I'm just going to pull them, and you're going to see it tighten around the leader line. You see that? See it digging into that leader line, right? Okay, that's what you want to see, and how it's cinching up on there. Okay? All right. So that right there, and if you could tell, unwrap my glove. If you don't wear gloves, that's definitely going to cut into you. So please make sure you wear gloves doing this. So I'm going to set this down. All right, and I'm going to show you this really quick. All right, so get that out of the picture here. There we go, so you can see this. I want you to focus on this. All right, so you can see how tight those wraps are digging in to that fluorocarbon. That's what you want, okay? So now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take and after that 1 half hitch, we're gonna do 2 more half hitches, okay, around the leader line and the braid, or the main line. So I'm just gonna take the main line and the leader line right here, pinch them again like so, and all I'm doing is the same thing as I did on the first one. Okay, we're going to create 2 more half hitches around both the main line and the leader line. Okay, so again, if you want to, pinch it like I did the first time, like so, with your finger and your thumb on your non-dominant hand, and then take the tag and put it through that loop again. Okay, grab it, follow it all the way up. You don't want it to overlap, but follow it all the way up to that part of the knot. Okay, once it's there, just gonna tighten it down. All right, you're gonna do that one more time. If you want to, you can wet it. Okay. All right. That's 3 half hitches around the main line and the leader line. The last 3 half hitches are just around the main braid line, not the leader line. So now all I'm going to do is create 3 half-hitch knots. That's it. Okay? You're going to take the line like so, take your main line in one hand and your tag line in your other hand, and just like that. Create a knot. Okay, make sure it doesn't, yeah, there you go around this part, the wraps part, but that's it. So you're going to do 3 of those. So just creating another knot. If you want, you could also bend this back, but I know some people don't like doing that to compromise the integrity of the leader line. But otherwise, just 2 more knots around the main line and the tag line. So 1 and 2. Okay. And then, feel free to wet this if you want. I mean, do what you want with it. Like so. All right. Then tighten that down. Okay. And right there, you've created an FG knot with 6 half hitches. Okay, that's what that is right there. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take our scissors, and all we're going to do is cut the tag line. Okay, so we're going to cut, this is the, you can tell here, this right here is the tag line. Okay, just going to cut that close to the knot. So like so. Okay. And then we're also going to cut the this part of the leader line. Okay, that little tag right there from the leader line. We're going to cut that down right by the knot as well. So right about there. That's it. And now you have your main line and your leader line for your FG knot. How low profile that is. That'll go right through the eyelets of your rod and spool nicely around the reel. So low profile. So greatest knot ever made. Well, that's my opinion, but based on the research, that's what they say anyway. All right. So if you have any comments, leave them, or if you have anything to say, or leave them down in the comment section. And like I said, I'll go ahead and put more content out. We're going to wrap this one up now, but hopefully I'll go ahead and as soon as possible get those other 3 knots and in online for you, and go from there. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you soon.